Has this ever happened to you? A buddy says, I have got a podcast episode that you have got to check out, only for them to send it to you and it be 3 hours long. If you're anything like me, I don't got 3 hours to invest in a brand new show with a brand new host and a brand new guest that I know nothing about. That's where today's tool is going to come into play, okay? Headliner just dropped a new tool called TLDL. Too long, didn't listen. A little play on TLDR, right? Too long, didn't read. And what they're claiming to do is use AI to kind of summarize a long podcast episode into a more digestible, easy to consume package. So we're going to jump into the tool, take a look at it, see if it works, see how it works, what it does, and give some final thoughts on it, okay? So we are in TLDL right now. As you can see, it is in beta, and it has this like preloaded in episode. It says 2 hours summarized down to 10 minutes. So let's click here and see what happens.
Welcome to Headliner TLDL, where we take your podcast episodes and turn them into curated highlight reels. Today we're diving into one episode from the Pod News Weekly Review. In this episode of the Pod News Weekly Review, hosts James Cridlin and Sam Sethi discuss recent developments in the podcasting industry, including Spotify's controversial play count feature, Acast's new talent voice ads, and the growing trend of monetizing podcasts through subscriptions. First up, the hosts tackle the backlash surrounding Spotify's play count announcement.
So, James, look, a bit of fallout from Spotify's...
Okay, that's kind of interesting. One, first off the bat, I don't love the voice. But I do think it's done a good job of synopsizing. It's done a good job of shortening down things, and I do like that it's playing clips from the actual episode in here. It is really kind of interesting. So let's try this for ourselves, okay? So up here, summarize more episodes. All right, let's select some episodes. I'm gonna look up the Rich Roll podcast because I get sent this podcast a lot, and if you know Rich Roll, you know that boy like to yap. Yeah, you can see producer Rick Rubin. This one's pretty long. Let's start with this. Oh, that's interesting. You can even add multiple episodes into... Huh, okay. Very cool. Well, okay, so listen to the gist of 1 hour and 31 minutes in only 10 minutes. We do 5, 10, 15, 20. Okay, that's pretty cool. Let's see how long this takes to run. So I did put in a timer. I did notice after I hit pause that underneath it said it takes about 5 minutes or so to do. My timer, when I stopped it, it was right around the 3-minute mark, so it actually was a little faster than that. But here is what it came up with for our Rich Roll episode.
Welcome to Headliner TLDL, where we bring you the best highlights from your favorite podcasts. Today, we're diving into one incredible episode from the Rich Roll podcast. In this episode, Rich Roll engages in a profound conversation with legendary music producer Rick Rubin about creativity, the artistic process, and the importance of being open to inspiration. Let's kick things off with Rick's thoughts on the nature of art and creativity.
Idea that one person says, my art is better than your art. It's an insane idea. It's like saying my diary entry is better than your diary entry. It's insane. The things we make are a reflection of who we are in this moment.
I also wanted to take notice of the fact that I set it to summarize it for 10 minutes and create a 10-minute summary. It only served out a 4-minute, just shy of 5-minute thing. So kind of interesting. I'd be interested to know on the back end, like what causes it to choose what it chooses and things like that, but just something to take note of.
And that's all it is. It's not more than that. It can go on and mean more than that, but that's not in our control. And it's something that cripples artists thinking, I have to make the greatest thing ever made to humankind, and then they basically psych themselves out of being able to make something good.
Next, Rick shares an empowering message about taking risks in your creative...
Okay, so this is a little different than the one that they had as like the example at the beginning, right? So this has the AI speaker coming back kind of in between these clips, which I almost prefer to some degree, right? Because then you kind of get this added context of like what is going on at this point in the show. So two things. I do kind of like this of like I would not have maybe sat down for an hour and a half and listened to this. I actually would have, just because I like Rick Rubin, but it's giving me that taste, right? It's giving me that hit of like, what is this episode about? What is it what is the vibe of it? And hit me with that. And I do like that. The other thing to notice down here too, looking at like player controls, like obviously we can skip ahead.
Listen in as Rick reflects on the unique insights he gains from interviewing music.
Right. So jump to like the next chapter, the next clip, if you will. Play pause. We got jump forward 15 seconds. And then over here, I noticed also there's a clock. So we can't even speed it up. If you're one of those people like me who listens to things at 2x speed, would be kind of interesting. I will also note that when this was ready, I also got an email on my phone. So I got an alert that said, hey, your summary is ready. So I was kind of wondering about that because I'd poked around a little bit and I hadn't seen, like, is there a spot where these all exist and I can go back and reference them later? That kind of a thing. Also can share this. That's cool. So link. Okay. Cool. That's about it. Nothing. Okay. Nothing crazy there. But let's do this again and let's try to summarize, like, a couple of episodes together and let's see what that does. Interesting. Again, opened a brand new tab for me. So now I've got 3 tabs. Okay. Kind of strange. Again, I think this problem could potentially be solved if there is like a home base, right? Like you have your account, you log in, you can create these summaries, they exist in your account, and you can go back and review them, as opposed to like I click this and it opens up a brand new tab, right? So now I've got 3 tabs open. But not the end of the world, just something to note. Let's do another podcast. Okay, so let's do my podcast. Why not? So I am host of the Ex-Homeschoolers Club. Let's see if it pops up here. There we go. And let's see. Let's do... This was a good one. And then we'll add an episode. Oh, you can even do multiple podcasts. That's kind of interesting. Let's just do that. Why not? And we'll just pick this. And I don't know. Why the hell not? Let's do one more. Let's do NPR now. Oh, these are only 4 minutes long. These don't need a summary. How about this? 40 minutes long. Boom. So we got 3 different podcasts, 3 different episodes, all loaded in here. You see almost 5 hours of content listed. We're going to see if we can condense it down to 10 minutes. So here we go. Create an audio summary of these episodes. How long is this going to take? Nobody knows. So that took about 7 minutes and 32 seconds-ish. So a little more than the 5 minutes it was telling me down at the bottom. But then again, it was also digesting about 5 hours worth of content. So let's play this summary. And we'll find out how it transitions into some of the other topics.
Welcome to Headliner TLDL, where we turn your favorite podcast episodes into curated highlight reels. Today, we have 3 fantastic episodes lined up for you. In this episode of the Ex-Homeschoolers Club, the host and guest Eliza dive into the world of autism and neurodiversity, sharing...
Don't know where I got Eliza from, because her name is Alyssa. So that could be an error on my side, or potentially an error on their side. But it might be an error on my side with transcriptions or show notes or something like that.
Experiences and the importance of understanding neurodivergent individuals. Eliza begins by explaining the complexities of autism and how it affects the brain's development.
So autism, it is a neurological developmental disorder, and basically what it does is our brains, they have different sections.
Okay, so we get a little bit of a taste there. So aside from messing up the name, which again is possible, it's a mistake on my end, maybe the transcription that's attached to it or show notes or something is misspelled. I'll go check it out and find out for sure. But the guest name is Alyssa. So let's jump forward. Let's see what this next.
She then shares her own journey, reflecting on her experiences growing up without a diagnosis.
So funny thing is, I actually was never diagnosed. However, could be on the spectrum.
We still got a lot of this clip. Let's jump ahead.
In terms of not being a diehard Knicks fan,
focusing on their
have any of that at all.
Next up, in the Evan and Tiki podcast, the hosts break.
So right there, that's another thing that I think probably will be fixed as this gets fleshed out more, but jumping ahead to what they're calling the next chapter jumped ahead of, like, it just jumped directly into the clip of the next show. Whereas before, if we came back here, it gave us the little AI summary of what's going on. But the AI summary starts, like, I don't know, how long is this? Like 10 seconds or so before that chapter.
Down the New York Knicks playoff performance, focusing on their thrilling comeback in Game 3 against the Indiana Pacers. One of the hosts kicks things off with a bold prediction about the Knicks' chances in the series.
In terms of not being a diehard Knicks fan, is what I'm about to tell you is filled with no emotion.
Okay, so let's jump ahead.
How many times
Again,
has
skipping
teams
the AI
had
summary.
a 2-0 lead, a lead in Game 3, or an opportunity? Knicks fans, let's make it personal. Last year.
Okay, so we're still
Last
on
year,
Evan
you were up 2-0 on.
Today, we have to crown our very first utter.
Discussion turns to political and social issues.
Open floaters.
So
when
again,
you blow a
does not
chance
line
in
up
Game
properly.
3, you may
That's
not
okay.
think it in the moment. You may not want to admit it in the moment. Everything changes.
And last but not least, in this episode of Spot On with Link Lauren, the discussion turns to political and social issues, highlighting Gavin Newsom's controversial stance on women's sports. Link Lauren starts with a powerful condemnation of Gavin Newsom, labeling him as this week's utter calamity.
To start off today, we have to crown our very first utter calamity of the week. If you know me by now, I use the term utter calamity all.
Yikes. Not a good week for Gavin Newsom, apparently. But I do think this is really interesting. And as far as, like, if these were the shows I was going to listen to this week, right? Like, being able to take that 4 hours of time and summarize, well, I guess it was over. It was almost 5 hours of time. And summarize it down to, this is 8 minutes and 59 seconds. So 9 minute long clip. Just to get a taste, that would be pretty good. So while I do think Headliner could obviously, like, improve on the chaptering and getting these things lined up properly and things like that, but, like, overall, are we really going to be jumping ahead, or are we going to just be listening all the way through? So if we're listening all the way through, not so much of an issue, but yeah. So I do think this is really interesting. Again, let's poke around some more. Let's see where some of these other buttons take us. So if I'm clicking over here, as you can see, I'm logged in. All of this stuff, promote your podcast, view podcast analytics. Like, if I click these, what do these do? So this is just taking me into a completely different Headliner tool that exists. Again, I would love to see from Headliner 2, just kind of that, like, ability to kind of create these summaries, potentially have them stored in a place, maybe be accessible on my phone, things like that. I don't know if this works on the phone super well or not, but, you know, having some of those capabilities I think would be really cool, where it's like you could kind of make a summary podcast. So it's like, you know, hey, I want to listen to these podcasts this week. Here's the 6 that I want to listen to. Create a summary for me. I'm going to listen to that, right? 10 minutes, 10 to 15 to 20 minutes. We saw we could do up to 20 minutes, right? That's my podcast on Monday on the drive to work, or just in my morning routine or whatever. It gives me a taste of everything I want to listen to this week. And then I know, okay, maybe XYZ I don't need to, but ABC are the shows that I am going to listen to. And, I don't know. Could be kind of cool. I do think this tool is, like, it will not replace podcasts for sure. But I think, like I said, I think it's a great tool to kind of just, like, get a taste, get a hit. I'm going to leave a link down in the description below. Check it out for yourself. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Is this something you would use? Do you hate this? Do you love this? What features would you want to see added to it? That kind of a thing. But yeah, I think this is a pretty cool tool. So, and if you want to see more videos like this, hit the subscribe, hit that bell icon, because yeah, that's what I'm doing. So, all right, peace.